Northwest government and from the municipality on what has been done here in this area since our last visit. So we'll get the report back. The responsible politicians will lead the process, and they can be backed up by officials. But I want the politicians to take responsibility and to give us the progress report. My name is Cedric Vrolik. I'm the House Chairperson in the National Assembly, responsible for Oversight, ICT, and committees. This is just part of the committee, the Ad Hoc Committee that has been established by both Houses of Parliament, the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. And our mandate originally was to go and look at the floods that occurred last year, early this year. It was last year. And then there was floods again, yes. Yes, so we reported on the first part. We were here before. We were in this exactly the same hall. We met with Hoshi, the traditional authority, traditional council, and they gave us a frank input on the lack of progress that is taking place here. I also informed them that some members of the delegation who are here today were here last time, so it's not our first visit. So we don't want a historical background, and we know those things. What we want to know is what has been done by the local government and the provincial government since our last visit, so that we can see whether the conditions of our people are improving or not. Now, Hoshi gave us a clear input on what the view of the Traditional Council is and the non-action of government. You know, we go around the country. We've previously been to the Eastern Cape, we've been to KwaZulu-Natal, we've been to Gauteng, we're now again back in the Northwest to check what's going on, and tomorrow we're going to the Free State, because there's also areas that has been affected there, and then thereafter we must go to Limpopo and Mpumalanga and back to Gauteng again, right? I'm going to give an opportunity to the members of the committee here quickly to introduce themselves so that you know who is sitting here in front of you. It's a multi-party delegation, come from different political parties. It's not only one party, but let me give them the opportunity to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chair. Ere ki dumedise di kgosi tsa rona, ki dumedise di member tsa legislature le community e teng ka monana ka lebitso ke Dikeledi Direko ke setho sa committee enana.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to everyone. Ikakhulukazi ubukhosi bendabuko ngiyabingelela kubona. Igama lami nguSilinde wakalithuli, ngiyi-permanent delegate kwi-NCOP eqhamuka KwaZulu-Natal. Ngiyabonga.
Molweni nonke. My name is Mbulelo Baha. I serve in the NCOP and from Gauteng. I'm also a member of this subcommittee. Thank you so much.
Good morning, goeiemorgen. My name is Eleanor Spies. I'm from the Western Cape and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Fani de Toy. I'm a member of the NCOP and a member of this committee, and I'm from the Northwest Province. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Fani. As I said, I'm Cedric Vrolik. My constituency, I come from the Eastern Cape, in Kaibega. That's where my constituency is. A lot of people, when they first look at me, they automatically think, I'm from the Western Cape. I'm not from the Western Cape. There's a lot of people that look like me in the Eastern Cape as well. So please, I'm from Kaibega, not from the Western Cape. No, thank you. We are going to follow the following process. We'll hand over to the politicians who's representing the Premier, the acting Premier, to make an input, and then we'll have the presentation. And the presentation will, as I said, focus. The input will focus on what have you done from the last time we were here up to today, right? We're not here to play. Thank you. We're not here to play marbles and to play games with the people. We are very serious with what we are doing. So there's not going to be long introductions. I know there's an apology from the acting premier. He's still in Johannesburg. But let me hand over to the first presenter. MEC? Can somebody just take the mic to the MEC, please? You have one. Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity also to greet our honorable members from the Select Committee, from the NCOP. I must sincerely acknowledge our House of Traditional Authorities. Bokhosi ba rona re le tlhompile, re le tlotlile, re le puso ya rona ya bokone bophirima, re re kgosi re ikokobeditse. I must acknowledge also the local mayor of Tswaing local municipality, district mayoral committee members from the district. I must also tender the apology, Honorable Chair of the district mayor, because we have an emergency in Mahikeng on sewer spillages, which is giving attention together with the MMC for infrastructure. All officials that are here from various departments from provincial government, members of the community that are here, good morning. Honorable Chair, let us appreciate your second visit since your last visit. As provincial government, we have prepared a presentation, and it's a consolidated presentation because it will cover the district role that it has played in terms of the interventions, the local municipalities, so the work that they have done, as well as provincial departments, whereby you have your Department of Public Works, your Department of Social Development, Human Settlements, as well as other services that we've provided as low-hanging fruits. Yes, we do acknowledge your concerns that you have raised, but I must indicate that, honorable members, there is work that has been done and there are plans going forward. And as provincial government, honorable members, we also want to indicate that we have resolved to run a program, and that we've already launched as part of our accelerated service delivery plan, where as Executive Council we have launched it and we call it Tunza Lerole. We have started in Dr. Ruth Sehumutsi Mompati, where we started to do these interventions across the board, whereby we bring all the services from national and to government, provincial government and local government, working together, led by our Honorable Acting Premier, in making intermediate interventions. We bring machinery on that day, but once we leave that, we leave the district mayors through a district development model to ensure that they sustain the work that we've brought in that municipality. And I can share with you with confidence, honorable members, that in Dr. Ruth Sehumutsi Mompati, you go unannounced. There's work that has been done. We are now, we went to, we also went to Bojanala, where we visited Madibeng with the same program. Last week, we were in Matwasi Hills, where we did the same program. We were supposed actually to come to Ngakamuti Mulema tomorrow. Because of other competing activities of Women's Day, we thought it is important, we deemed it fit that we allowed that program to unfold tomorrow in Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And we will be next week in Ngakamuti Mulema, and we'll be here in Tswaing because we've identified Tswaing, so that we start to respond to some of the issues that are still outstanding. The whole intention is to run this program every Friday. We are doing that every Friday as provincial government. We work with our municipalities. We work with all the stakeholders. The Premier will be having a session actually next month with business, because in this engagement that we are doing through acceleration of service delivery plans, we have realized that we need to move with our business together to ensure that as and when we do these interventions, they also realize the work that the contribution that they can also do in assisting us to accelerate a machinery of service delivery. So we are hard at work, and we are also expecting that as we leave different municipalities with this plan, every day we must have that accelerated program that will be monitored within the office of the Premier as well as through our Department of Cooperative Governance, whereby all the departments are participating through the disaster management. I thought it is important, honorable members, so that at least you are taken into confidence on the intervention work that we have started to do in the last 2 months, whereby we've been visiting municipalities to do all those assessments from a service delivery point of view, also from a governance point of view. If you can allow me, Chair, let me allow, because we have the head of the departments. By the way, with the MEC for Social Development, we are representing the Executive Council. We have the mayor, and then we have also MMCs who are here as councillors. So as provincial government, from local government, district and provincial government, we are well represented. I would want to, if you allow me, Chair, hand over to our head of department, Dr. Pole, to take us through the presentation so that we respond. We've agreed that we'll go to overarching issues around infrastructure on matters that we have raised. And we'll also go according to the departments as to the work that we've done to this end, if you allow me, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, no, thank you. When we get the presentation, because as I said, it's not the first time that we are. Thank you very much for the introduction. I want clear information. The assessment of the damages that were done here. What was the costs? Where did that application go to? What is the status of that application? Because it was supposed to go to Kokta in the province. And after that, it's supposed to go to the National Treasury and Kokta National, who will release the funds, or they will say to the local municipality, if you do have funds, use those funds in the meantime and we'll reimburse you. So I just want to get clarity on that process, because your job is to unlock the funding to deal with this crisis that is here. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, House Chair. Thank you very much, honorable members. I just want to take this opportunity to greet our traditional leadership, its council here, and our members of the Executive Council, the mayor, and colleagues and the community. Chair, indeed, we are not going to deal with the background. We are just going straight to the critical issues, Chair. I just want to draw the attention of the members of parliament to, I think it's slide 7. This slide deals with the first visit and the issues raised. I think it's very important just to give a summary on that, and then from there we'll then go straight and deal with the infrastructure progress and the intervention that the provincial government has made. One is that, Chair, there was a crisis during the visit of yourself here with regard to the payment of service providers. Service providers were complaining that they have not been paid and so on. It's something that we have sorted out, Chair. And 2, there was also an issue around the compensation of farmers. And then I can confirm before the committee, and it's something that we'll also highlight when we deal with the intervention from Department of Agriculture. The support has been provided for our farmers. There was also an issue which was raised with regard to temporary residential units vis-a-vis permanent structures. We took a decision to go the route of permanent structures instead of temporary, and I will also deal with this issue. The compensation of also affected communities, Chair, was also raised, and we can confirm there in this meeting that, Chair, that we have also dealt and we tried our best to actually explain the dynamics before our communities around this issue. The issue of the access road, or rather access roads, was also raised, Chair, and I can confirm that as provincial government, we have responded through public works that has intervened. Allow me, Chair, just to deal with this infrastructure, as I said. Let me start with the Department of Women Settlements, Chair. And we appreciate the traditional council and the leadership because they've donated 24 hectares of land and 5 hectares of land for the community here. And what we have done as provincial government led by the Women Settlement is that on the first portion of land, the first 5 hectares, what we have done, this is the process led by Women Settlement, is that the technical investigation assessment for phase 1 has been completed, and then subsidy administration started and application have been completed, and those applications, they've been captured on our HSS system. I can confirm, Chair, that a contractor has been appointed to construct 103 houses as part of phase 1 on the 5 hectares of land. And Chair, construction of houses will then resume immediately after internal departmental process. In fact, yeah, Chair, internal departmental processes has been completed. So the construction is going to start with immediate effect or rather soon. The HOD for Women Settlement is here. So with regard to the second portion, on the 24 hectares that the traditional leadership has actually allocated, we can confirm that the department has commissioned Housing Development Agency to start with a preliminary investigation so that then they can start developing on this 24 hectares. And we can also confirm that service level agreement has been signed, and inception meeting was scheduled yesterday. And then, Chair, we then anticipate that this development would also create some jobs for our community around here. With regard to public works, Chair, we can confirm that the department has appointed consulting engineers for the project on the 14th of July 2023. The work will then be executed. That work, Chair, will then include the construction of approximately 12-kilometer road from Weeffontein to Lombardslachte, access road to the nearby public amenity, Chair. And 6 internal roads in Delpan. That is the intervention that the public works will then be made to this area. And therefore, Chair, we anticipate that this project will create about 100 to 200 job opportunities, and will also provide technical and generic training for the beneficiaries. The department just experienced some challenge where it lost equipment such as tail B, grader, tipper truck, a small vibrator roller, which were burned down by the community in this area. Chair, with regard to the Department of Economy, Development, Environment, Chair, basically these are the soft support. Allow me to go to the Department of Agriculture. As I said, that the farmers, they have been supported, and we can confirm here, Chair, that the veterinary unit also provided vaccination to more than 600 cattle against waterborne disease, such as heart water and other diseases. We have also procured a diesel to the tune of 1.7 million that benefited 17 farmers. And also, Chair, we can confirm that we have also procured 90 goats, which were procured at an amount of 714. And we've also procured 5 bulls at an amount of 300,000 for communal farmers, which benefited. That is the Marafi that we call it. With regard to the intervention from the municipality, Chair, the municipality of Swahili replaced window panes at the traditional office that was used to accommodate relocated males during the floods. And also the electricity was purchased for church, Trevor Hall and old age homes. And there was also a social support to the affected families. And those who were affected by these floods, sleeping mattresses for those displaced families were also purchased for the families. Chair, we thought it's also important just to raise before the committee in terms of the medium to long-term interventions around this particular area. And we are saying, Chair, that the municipality will then develop and implement bylaws and building regulation in order to ensure sustainable development and safer communities, so that we must not find ourselves in this situation in the near future. The Department of Women's Settlement will prioritize the eradication of mud houses in this particular area. And the municipality will then discourage the continued erection of informal settlements in this area. And the public works will also undertake the repairs of all the damaged roads, culverts, and bridges. And the municipality will then integrate the disaster risk reduction and the effect of the climate change into the municipal IDP, so that there must be a clear mitigation strategies going forward. And the district also, Chair, will then finalize and implement sustainable issues of water and sanitation. And the Department of Education will then be expected to develop a contingency plan, issues of provision of mobile classrooms with admin blocks and toilets as a medium-term measure, whilst Chair, permanent schools are still being planned linked to the relocation plan. Chair, let me quickly go and deal with the grant funding from national, and it's a matter that Chair raised at the beginning. Chair, women's settlements was allocated 59.9 million to deal with these issues of women's settlements and the development that you have raised at the beginning. And the public works also was given 1.1 million. And the indication is that other department will then mobilize funding, Chair. Chair, the following slide, basically we have identified some challenges and the remedial action. And we are saying that in as far as our recommendation is concerned, we are saying that the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee on Flood Disaster Relief will then note and consider the contents of this report. Thank you very much, MEC.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bole. Chair, I think one of the areas that the head of the department did not cover, it's around issues of the role that Ngakamutirolema has done as a district municipality to intervene on water challenges, because I think that's what Bohosi also raised in our briefing this morning as they welcomed us. So I just wanted to report, Chair, that the district municipality is actually on a process of making sure that they are able to purchase 2 generators so that to serve as a backup during load shedding, because this is part of the challenges because as a result of load shedding, they've not been able to do other interventions. So there is that commitment, and that's the submission that we got. So we'll be able to monitor that as well from the side of COGTA. And there has been JoJo tanks that has been purchased, and more of them will be provided. And then what needs to happen, we must make sure that those JoJo tanks from time to time, they are being filled with water. Because that's the area that we have observed that there are challenges, that there were JoJo tanks that were purchased and installed, and issues of refilling the JoJo tanks from time to time is an area that we think that we have to really improve on that. We are aware that there are still challenges of water within our community. So I thought that I must put before this input also this committee. Thank you very much, Chair. I think that's the presentation from provincial government. It's a consolidated report like I indicated. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. For the plans, you haven't done anything yet. I want to go and see what you have done. So the report is that you haven't done anything. There's plans. And also, I want, before I give an opportunity to the members here, is to find out what is your communication with the local people here. Who communicates with them? Who communicates with Khoshi and the traditional council? Because you see, if you have a plan and you keep it with you in Mafikeng, it means nothing to these people. Because these people want to know what's going to happen next. How often do you come to this area? Or do you come here when you hear we are coming here? Right? So somebody must respond to that. Your communication strategy of sharing your plans. And remember, government, we are not apartheid government anymore. So we don't decide on our own and say to the people, oh, you need that, we'll give you this. We consult with the people. The people must ultimately be the custodians and the owners of the implementation of government programs. So, if you have the plans, good and well, it's been costed. But who did you consult? Who did you share information with? Because we will not have unhappiness if the people know what is going to happen, when it is going to happen. I usually, and not only here, MEC, across the country where I go, and then you hear, it usually starts like this, the community is upset. So they burn a few tires there in the road, and they put stones there, and it causes disruption. Right? The next thing is, they have a petition now, and they hand over their grievances to the municipality usually, because those are the people who are there. The municipality is right there, the mayor is in the front face. Then the petition is there, and usually the response is, we'll come back to you. And nobody comes back to the people. Then the protest starts getting violent, because then buildings are being burned, that's being burned, because people don't get a response. And then where we go is people from the government, whether it's local or provincial government, will tell us, no, there's a plan, here's the plan. And I ask them, but if there's a plan, why is it the people don't know about it? Who did you consult? Who did you consult? Because if you consult, there's a communication process that takes place. There's inputs from the community, and the government can say, no, this is possible and that is not possible. But everybody knows what's going to happen. But you cannot sit with a plan and you have not communicated it. Even the traditional council doesn't know about the plan and the details of the plan. So they cannot be blamed. It's wrong to blame them. There should be a dynamic interaction. When the president declared the state of disaster, all different sectors and levels of government were supposed to kick in. From local, provincial to national government. And the flow of information must work like that. Ultimately, we are not there to serve ourselves and to serve our own interest. Where I'm living in Quebec, there was a water pipe burst, right? The water pipe burst. And then I woke up the morning and turned that there's no water. And for a week we went without water because it was on a private property and the municipality had to negotiate. But the inconvenience of not having water, the most basic thing. Now we hear there's Jojo tanks, there's no water in the Jojo tanks and all of those type of things. It cannot be, because they must be part of the plan, DG. If you put the Jojo tank down, there must be water that fills it up. You can't pray all the time and say, fill up the tanks. The rain will come, yes, but people need water on a daily basis. So that must all be part of the plan and the implementation thereof. So while I see everything here, I notice a gap, and I want somebody to respond to me in terms of your communication with the local authority, local council, involving the mayor and the community. The community is key stakeholders in this, because the community is the ones who will say, no, something is happening. Or they will be the first to say, you know, these things that these people tell you here this morning is nonsense, they don't do it. They will be the ones, because they must receive the service from government. They must receive the service from government. So can somebody respond to me in terms of the communication plan, and how often do you visit this area to come and give updates as to what is going on?
No, thank you very much, Chair. I'll allow the department, but I know that the district will have also to give clarity in terms of communication, and we acknowledge your comments and your concerns that you've raised, Chair, on issues of communication, constant interaction with the community. So we'll allow from local government, maybe I will allow the Dr. Bole, the HOD, by the way, and then also let's have the district giving inputs in terms of that, or the local mayor, if you allow us, Chair. Dr. Bole?
Okay. No, thank you very much, MEC. House Chair, we acknowledge the issue you raised of communication, and I think it's something that we'll have to strengthen from the provincial government. But however, Chair, I must indicate that the fact that our traditional leadership has actually donated these hectares of land for this development, there has been that particular communication, and I think if that communication was not actually been reaching the traditional authority effectively, it's something that we'll have to deal with it, because quite frankly, some of the interventions that we have spoken about, affected community members, they have been engaged. We've got the regional director responsible for women's settlement of this area, and I've also seen the deputy director responsible for women's settlement in this area. And from COGTA also, officials who are operating at the operational level in terms of dealing with our Provincial Disaster Management Center and making sure that there is that constant communication with the community. I've also seen them here. So generally speaking, Chair, based on some of the plans and what we have raised, for instance, the farmers, we have helped the farmers with the goals and so on. There has been that communication, but we take it, it's something that it must be streamlined, it's something that it must be strengthened. Just to bridge that communication gap that is existing. Thanks, MC.
Thank you. I will now give an opportunity to the members of the committee who will ask clarity questions, and then we will look at the way forward on how we're going to deal with the situation. You see, we cannot also, and we don't condone the damage to state infrastructure. Because if you burn down a building and damage a building, you will take money away from another project to come and fix it again. Or the government cannot say that, oh, it will take 2-3 years again to do it. But what we want to establish here is, honorable members, is a concrete way forward so that we do not have a situation where we are confronted with an unhappy community, a traditional council, that says, you know, we gave the land a long time ago, but we don't know what is going to happen next, right? We want to address that matter so that all of us have a firm agreement on how we're going to proceed with it. Are there any questions of clarity? Let me start on the left-hand side and we'll come all the way down.
Thank you, Chair. On the presentation that we have, it speaks about the issue of the 24-hectare land. And then they also speak about the construction of 103 houses. So I would like to check those 103 houses, where are they going to be constructed? And the time frame for that project. Because sometimes we'll agree on things. If we don't have time frame, then it means that it's not effective. We can't hold each other accountable. But if you are saying the construction of 103 houses is going to take 2 months or 3 months, at least we'll be able to measure progress on that. So I will request that we must have time frame on everything that we agree on. And secondly, there's an issue about the geotech report. I would like to check with the department as to when did that process start, how far are they with the process, and also the expected time frame of concluding that process. Because we were here last year when the issue of the geotech report was mentioned, and we are here again, there's an issue of geotech report. So can we please be specific as to how far is the process and all those things? And I would also want to check if is there any funding from national government that you have received, except the one of human settlement. Lastly, when we deal with the issue of water and sanitation, the infrastructure, it simply means that if you want to apply for funding, there was supposed to be a project plan that was supposed to be sent to the Department of Water and Sanitation. And then they will go through that plan, check if it's good and it's fine. And if it's fine, there will be funds that will be committed to that particular process. I'm saying that because I know in Free State we had a challenge of infrastructure in Machabe. We did that, the process was done in that way where they had to do a project plan, submit it to Water and Sanitation, and thereafter there was the funds that were committed. In your case, it's supposed to be much easier because it's a disaster. So I would like to check if is there any kind of plan that has been sent to Water and Sanitation? If it is, how far is the process? What is the commitment in terms of water and sanitation? And how is the process going to commence if there's an agreement between you and that particular department? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. First of all, I would like to agree with you, Chairperson, that the plans are there in paper, but nothing has been done. And it's sad because when disaster hits, everything stops, and then you focus with disaster and try to help our people. And in your presentation, you also spoke of the challenges that you have, the slow service delivery and also community being angry. But there's nothing that you are saying what you are doing to fast track if service delivery and also to communicate with the community so that they're not going to be angry when they don't see anything happening. But the biggest challenge that I've seen is that you guys are not communicating with the community and also with traditional affairs or traditional leaders, because they are the one who are with community all the time. So if they have the information, it's easy for them to give it to the community so that they will know where are you going, what is your time frame. As my colleagues was just saying now, that we need time frames, that now we have the piece of land, this is where we are, and by next year what is going to happen. We need structures being built, and then you give us challenges. But if nothing is, then the community is going to be angry. I think that is the challenge that we are facing, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think, Chair, most of the questions have been asked, but mine is more on the permanent structures vis-a-vis the temporary residential units. What I want to check is, when you assess the environment under which the people live, it then would determine whether people can wait until houses are built or people have to be moved with immediate effect. Now, was that the consideration before you reached a decision that says you want to do permanent structures? Because I think in the briefing that we had with the traditional leadership, there was a kind of essence in terms of vision of human settlements to the people. Now, if we are on the permanent structures arrangement, I want to get a sense of whether those considerations have been made or done or not. The last one, Chairperson, I think is more on the road construction. Because I think for me, it's quite an urgent matter to embark on when it arises. Because if the road is unusable for whatever reason, it means communication and contact between communities is cut with immediate effect. Now, how soon is this going to be dealt with and resolved so that people's lives can be able to get back to normal? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will not repeat what has been asked already. I think part of our visit is also not to, we don't want to just criticize, but we want to also come up with solutions or recommendations. I want to understand what is the frequency of engagement, intergovernmental, between the local municipality, the province, the traditional leaders. Because the reason why I'm asking this, we are sometimes complicating things. If there is a regular feedback by all the role players, the municipality comes with its management, which includes the mayor and the maker and the speaker. The speaker, who is the custodian of public participation, will ensure that it filters through to the ward councillor. It empowers the ward councillor and the council of traditional leaders to be able to speak to the community and say exactly what happens. But in order for them to do that, they need to be empowered with accurate information, time frames, so that they can actually tell the community, the construction of the road is going to happen on this date, stretching from this date to that date, and therefore the community then expects that, and they will obviously monitor that, and there's commitment and there's accountability, and people will have to do their work. And those are the things that I think that you need to put in place. It's simple and it's practical. The issue of time frames has been mentioned by my colleagues on numerous times, but it is important. We cannot re-emphasize it more to you that you can't say that construction is starting soon. We don't know, it lacks detail. I want to understand the support that has been given to farmers. What is the form of that support that has been given to farmers? And really, in sympathy with what we have heard when Hoshi was speaking to us, what is the problem or the challenge with fixing the space that we have been sitting in? Why is it that the transport is not available from a department of government department like Public Works? We need to know who is not doing their work, why is that not happening, and when will it happen? And that is the information that we want to leave with, but most of all, the frustrated community today here would like to hear that. Other than that, Chair, I have been covered by my colleagues. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I'll be brief. Honourable Chair, referring to the presentation that we received, it said that 1.7 million rand was spent on the provision of diesel. 67,000 litres of diesel were availed to farmers. If I look at the price at which diesel is being availed in the market, is 26 Rand 26. And in February it was 21 Rand 23. So it's an overspending of between 330,000 and 469,000 Rand on diesel if it was procured at a normal station or in bulk. So someone definitely benefited there, and I'd like if we can get a report on that, please. Also, the cost allowed for the temporary housing units was about 76,000 Rand per unit. What would the cost be for the permanent structures that will be erected or built in this area. And I want to know if any arrests were made for the equipment that were burned. If not, were a case opened at the police station. And lastly, the traditional leaders this morning said that the water tankering services only visited this area once this week on Tuesday. Now, we all know what the corruption is taking place with regards to water tankering, so can we please request audit to be done on the water tankering services in this specific area if they fill their part of the mandate in delivering water to where it's needed at the time when it's needed. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. I will now hand over back to the province so that you can just reply. Some of the information is in the presentation, right? But if you can just emphasize exactly in terms of support to farmers, what type of farmers are you talking about? Is it commercial farmers, subsistence farmers? Because we don't only have farmers, we have different categories of farmers. And we will get back to the financial accountability of the money that is already being spent.
No, thank you very much. Let me allow, maybe ask the HOD for human settlement to start with the response, and then we will then get to, I'm not sure who's representing DART, or are you going to talk also on agriculture? Human settlement, yes, wait first. If we can get someone from agriculture, if there's anyone who's here to respond, or we have, the district is here. Public Works, I've seen the district director, Mema, saying if you can come forward so that you are also able just to respond on the issues that have been raised, and then we can get back to Dr. Bole if there are issues that have not been covered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, MECs. Re leboga segosi sa rona se se tlotlegang. Ke tla leka go araba dipotso tse di maleba le human settlement. The first question was around 24 hectares being availed, only 103 houses being talked about. Let me just clarify that 2 portions of land were availed. The first portion was 5 hectares, and later on the traditional authorities availed 24 hectares of land. On the 5 hectares of land, that's what we refer to as phase 1 development. And on that 5 hectares of land, we appointed HDA as Human Settlement Department to assist us in terms of doing technical studies. They did the floodline studies, wetland studies, geotechnical studies, including dolomitic assessments. They did the geohydrological studies, traffic studies, and engineering services. And that work has been completed. That is why we were able to then subdivide that 5 hectares of land, and it will only be able to accommodate 103 units, for which, by the way, a contractor has been appointed, and the contractor was supposed to have been introduced today. I'm told he's coming on site tomorrow. Also, in terms of answering the question on time frames, the construction has to take place and be completed by the 31st of March 2024. So that work is going to start immediately. In terms of the 24 hectares, we are now saying the HDA is starting with work that preliminary studies, preliminary technical studies, and they have introduced a service provider yesterday to start on the 24 hectares, which is phase 2, following which we will be able to now know how much or how many units will be fitted there. There was an issue about fast-tracking service delivery. Nothing has been said in terms of fast-tracking service delivery. Let me mention here that for us as the Department of Human Settlements to have engaged HDA, that was one way of fast-tracking service delivery. Because when these disasters are declared, procurement processes are not suspended. You have to follow the procurement processes as they are in the normal form. So there are no shortcuts. As a result, the department decided to engage HDA, which is a government entity, to assist us in fast-tracking the service delivery. That is why by now we are able to report that all those technical studies have taken place. And again, in order to fast-track service delivery, some of the studies like EIA, the environmental impact assessment, take very long. To this extent, because we were collaborating with our sister departments, DDEC was able to assist us to come up with the final report on the environmental impact assessment. That was part of fast-tracking service delivery. Permanent structures vis-a-vis temporary residential units. Was the assessment made before a conclusion to do permanent structures was reached? An assessment, and not just an assessment, but also engagement with the communities. When the communities were engaged, they refused temporary units. They opted for permanent structures, which I think is an advantage because once the structure is built, it will be there permanently. In terms of the cost of permanent vis-a-vis temporary units, yes, the temporary units were going to cost about 76,000, but the permanent structures are going to be built using the current quantum of human settlement, RDP or BNG, which is about 183,000. Okay, I think I have answered all the questions. Time frames, yes, I've covered the time frames in that the contractor is appointed to have completed this phase 1 units by end of March 2023. And in terms of the budget, I think there was a question on the budget that only human settlement got a budget. Let me clarify that the function of building emergency or providing emergency housing is now vesting with National Human Settlement. So what we have now has been top sliced from the grant HSDG, and we have top sliced around 20 million to be able to address the issues now. The rest of the funds we have applied to National for provision. We haven't received a response. Thank you.
Dart, can you please come forward? Tlammo pele bagaetsho.
Bagolo a re dumeleng ke nna Ntate Kgorai Sebokolodi from the Department of Agriculture. Good morning, honorable parliament members. With regard to the diesel, you have indicated that someone have benefited a lot. Yes, we fully agree with you. But remember, as the department, we are not allowed to buy from any other service provider. There are contracted service provider within the department, and it's a matter of must, we must buy via them. If we can buy locally, direct from the filling stations, it will be much more cheaper. Remember, they put their own benchmark, they put their own little bit of profit in terms of the transport and the labor, whatever, so many things. Hence the price, it goes up a little bit. Now I'm requesting to you, the parliament, with respect, let's try and cancel this issue of tendering. It's fine. Number 2, with regard to the beneficiaries, the majority are the smallholder farmers and the subsistence farmers, male, female, and youth. Allow me, Chairperson, just to announce something here. The department has already appointed a service provider to contract the cattle handling facilities at the amount of 575,000. Hopefully, the service provider will be on site by Monday or Tuesday. Thank you, Chairperson.
Member Singh, I've seen you.
Honorable,
Now, MEC, may I just ask those who present, respond, just say who they are, so that we know exactly from which department they are. The previous gentleman, which department are you from?
Agriculture.
I'm from the Department of Agriculture.
Agriculture. Thank you. No, you don't have a second bite.
Okay.
You have said what you were supposed to say. I didn't invite you now to give additional information.
This is public
Honorable
works.
Parliament, Honorable MECs, Senior Management of Government, Baagi ba rona ba Dielpan, Magosi, re a le leboga. Thank you for the opportunities. I will start with what we have done from the 8th of March 2022. I'm Gwendolyn Maseng. In short, they call me Gwen. I'm from the Provincial Department of Public Works and Roads. I'm the District Director for Ngaka Modiri Molema. Last year, when the disaster started, the 8th of March, we were one of the people with the disaster management to arrive here with Ntate Rekotso and the team. One of the things that we have done as Public Works, we have bladed internal roads to make them trafficable, and we have installed culverts in order for learners in the primary schools. It's about 800 meters from here to be able to access the schools because they couldn't go in as the water was all over. Public Works, the district has re-gravelled 10 kilometers of an access road, which is in road D1067. For a period of 7 to 8 months, we have brought the water tanker, a brand new water tanker that was not used on the roads. It was newly delivered. We have used it to ferry water. It was a 12,000 liter water tanker capacity. We were giving community of Dielpan water on a daily basis, and we were using the diesel from the department. We didn't procure that diesel. The report is readily available. We stopped when we were told that municipality now they are able to continue with that. The water tanker was reversed back to the department. In terms of breaking down of the diesel which was used, it was around 100,000. We were using our own internal resources. They were not outsourced in terms of ferrying water from Sannieshof to Dielpan. And we re-gravelled one wide road because it's internal roads, they don't have names. We were re-gravelling it, but because of the sand, it's clayish. It was causing more problems when it was raining. So as and when it's required, Councillor January makes us aware, we come and make the road trafficable. Because the clay swale, it's even causing more problems to the community. In terms of what was reported by HOD, we have appointed in a long-term basis, we have appointed CV Chaka, they are consultants. They were appointed in July. They are busy with scoping the 6 internal roads. These are the roads that we thought is for the new establishment, but the community made Public Works aware that not all the people are moving to the new establishment. So the road will be still in the old establishment. CV Chaka consultants, they have been employed. They will take 2 months to finalize the detailed designs, which means also those designs will be labor intensive because they will create more jobs in doing those block pavings. The road will, in terms of the real work to be implemented to do the physical block paving, it will start in 2024, but once the scoping has been completed, that will give us a date that will say in 2024, which date or which month. I thank you, MEC Rosho. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Member Singh. Chair, if you allow me, let me just give the district councillor just to talk to the business plan on water. Councillor Malwane.
Thank you, honorable members from the Parliament and MEC. With regard to the business plan dealing with water and sanitation, the business plan is in the office of the minister, but though it's a long-term plan, but we have done that business plan and we have submitted it to the minister. We are awaiting for the outcome, but we are dealing with it. Thank you very much, Chair.
Dr. Bole.
Okay, thank you very much, MEC. Just to add from what the councillor has just said with regard to issues of water and sanitation, I can confirm, Chair, before you that the district municipality has completed a project of drilling and equipping of 3 boreholes in this area. And also they have completed the construction of a pipeline of the storage tank in this particular area. Furthermore, Chair, I think there was an issue which was raised with regard to the IGR. I just want to indicate that as a province, Chair, we've got a very strong IGR structure that we call it the Northwest Provincial Coordinating Council, where all the mayors, members of the executive councils, municipal managers, CFO sits and deal with issues affecting community on the ground. And I can also confirm that as COGTA, because Chair, it's our responsibility because we are dealing with issues of cooperative governance. We are also having those particular structures departmentally, where MEC on quarterly basis meet with the mayors and the speakers and the MMs, and the head of department also on his own, then on quarterly basis meets with the municipal managers across the province, just to streamline and deal with the issues which actually affect our communities direct. Thanks.
Chair, let me just accept the challenges of continuous engagement with our communities as asked by Honorable Spies. Because at the technical level, there is engagement. That's how the report that we received. But at the political level, I think we need to strengthen that. And I must indicate to you, Chair, that on this specific process of DLPAN, to respond to disaster, we may not have, I know that we did develop a communication strategy, but the communication plan thereof, whereby engagement with the different structures and stakeholders may not have been followed through to the core. And we have to accept that as provincial government. And we will be able to go back, make a reflection, because we did develop a communication strategy in that respect. So I want to say, Chair, that on that aspect, there are weaknesses that we've observed. I've actually been talking to MEC for Social Development, even before we started the meeting, that this is an area I think that we've not done well. And we'll have to come back and review our strategy so that we fast-track the implementation of the plans that we've put before you. And I think, Chair, we should we commit before this Honourable House that we will have to review our strategy, probably also submit it to your good selves as well as the implementation thereof. At the media level, we've been communicated, but at the stakeholder level, where we continuously engage with our communities, I think it is a weakness, and would want to commit as provincial government that we'll go back and ensure that that is corrected. Secondly, Chair, we have the district development model. And in the context of the district development model, there are there are challenges. And I think we have raised that with the Honorable Premier. I personally have raised that because I'm part of the champions in Ngakamotjira Molema, deployed by Executive Council together with MEC Mosenori. So we need to also strengthen our district development model machinery, because this is we can use that instrument to ensure that we follow through the challenges of how do we respond to DLPAN challenges. And I think, Chair, let me pause at that, Chair. This is the responses that we are giving as provincial government. We take responsibility on areas that we've not done well. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, MEC. There's members of the community here. Now, this is not a public hearing, but I'm going to give one of them an opportunity. If there's anyone, everybody can't speak, one only, who want to raise issues so that we can also familiarize ourselves with that, then you may do so. Don't make a speech, né? You raise the issues. Here in front, here in front. Thank you. Introduce yourself, where you stay, and then you deal with the issues, please.
Good morning. I would like you to have the translation because I don't want to jump some issues. So I can speak my Setswana.
The mayor has volunteered to translate for us. She was very good this morning.
Lina la ka ke nna Mogomotsi Bus. Ke dula mo DLPAN.
He's residing in Dielpan. His name is Mogomotsi Bas.
Ke tlile go simolla ka kgang ya metsi.
I'm going to start with the issue of water.
Ke letse ke bona dilori tsa masepala di pakasela mo gare ga motse. Ke ba ke itse gore go na le sengwe se se tla diregelang ka moso.
Yesterday I saw the trucks of the municipality going up and down in the village, and I knew that there's going to be something tomorrow.
So ke se tlwaedi ang ke re kry-a metsi mo DLPAN le dipompora di sokola gore kry-e metsi. Metsi a ya ko portioneng tse dingwe go gongwe gae.
It is happening always like this. We don't have water. The water is not coming through. But if there's something, you see them.
Ke be ke ya ko go ya matlo.
I'm going straight to housing issue.
Tlhakatlhakano e nnileng teng mo DLPAN e dirilwe ke human settlement go sa tle dikopanong ka nako ne dikopano di tshwariwa mo DLPAN.
There was a confusion in the issues of housing, which was caused by human settlement. By the time the community was having meetings and wanted them to be part of the meetings, they could not come to the meetings.
So re ne ra tsaya matsapa ne re ya Mafikeng re tsaya matsapa rona se community, then MEC wa matlo a tla mo DLPAN.
And we have managed to go to Mahikeng to meet the women settlement, and the MEC of housing also managed to come to us to DLPAN.
Le hona le tsaetse go ya gore go batliwa permanent structure, temporary structure, then go tswa ka gore go tloa go tlatla go agiwa permanent structure.
There were uncertainties in the communities whether they want temporary or permanent structures, but a decision was taken by community members that they want permanent structures.
So se se irang gore ke tsaya tsege nna ke gore madi a tswileng ko national format ke 54 million le rona re itseng.
The confusion was caused but this uncertainties was caused by the money that comes from national on the issues of temporary structures, which was 54 million, 64 million. 54 million. Sorry.
So ya nna gore ba re ba tla ragela matlo a le 150.
And the human settlement agreed that they will build 150 houses.
Ntlo ye one MEC le re is 116,000.
They told us that one housing cost 16,000.
Well, ha ke calculate the madi a otlhe. Matlo a le 150. Are has 17 million 200.
When I calculated 150 houses by 116, it give us 17 million.
Then I calculate ki checka ularo ukolota community matlo ale 5. Then another 200. Ale 50, another 200.
The MEC said he's supposed to build 50 houses for the community. Now, the 150 plus the 50, it will be 200 houses.
So ke ha ke sa gopola gore e dira 20,600,000 or somewhere there.
I don't remember well, but it seems as if the 200 houses is going to cost 20 million something. 23
So-
million, thank you, Chair.
Ke a botsa gore tšhelete nngwe e isiwa kae kwa, ka gore re allocated 54 million and 54 million e ka ragela more than 460 units.
The question from the community was that if it is going to cost 23 million, where is the other millions going to do? Because we can get something better from the 54 million.
And ke kopile gape mo malobeng ka gore province ya rona ha e re tsele matsapa ne ra dira matsapa gore re kopane le president ra fitla ra mo bolelela gore re na le bothata sa le re declareile ka national disaster go DL Pani re mo fa memorandum of our demand ka nako ya teng.
Because our provincial leadership does not want to come to us, we have managed to make a point to see the president and raise our issue with the president on the issues of housing.
Re thata re ne re lela ka go na le dipolao tse di diragetseng mo DL Pani go sena bo di-case number re kopile le metsi ya ka gore metsi a tlile ka di-toilete a ka se tlhatswiwe ka gore diphologolo tsa rona di nwa metsi kwa le bana a re ya ko selemong ba ka tshamekela ko metsing re sa itse gore a mme a kotsi gore ga a kotsi.
There were issues that were going on within our community whereby there were cases of, there were crime instances where there were no case numbers, and also the issues of the contamination of water. The water has affected our toilets, and we requested the water to be cleaned for our animals.
Gore ke re yalo last year ka di 30 tsa June parliament ya Northwest e ne le mo go ne holo e re mo go yone ba tle gore bolela ke ile gore ke buile mo batho mo ke re go tlisiwa di food parcel go tlisiwa do tse dintsi e tla re hana go e tsamaya go tla bo go tere jele chelete ene na diragala.
On the 30th of June, the Northwest Provincial Legislature was here with us, and we thought that when they leave us, they are going to tell us that our money is already, they have spent the money. So on that day, we were not happy for them to be here.
So ra ba kopa gore ba ye gore bolela gore 7,800,000 ba ba idirise mo DL Pani ba idirisitse mo go eng se rona re sa se boneng re tlhoka matlo re tlhoka ditsela.
We asked the provincial legislature, members of the provincial legislature, about the 7 million that was in their report. What was that 7 million used for? Because we don't have roads.
Ke nako ne re ba leleka ka yone ba sia re sa itse gore go diragalang ra thoma ra le ka go communicate le bone gore ba boele mo go rona ba sa boele mo go rona go simolola go na le ditlhakatlhakana ka nako ya teng.
And then as the community, we asked them to go back and not to come back. And we attempted to meet with them again, and we didn't get a response from them.
Ke ne ke re ke sa ka nna molele re ke gauze go tlile ke sa ka bua thata.
Thank you very much, Chair. I don't want to be long. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for that input. Clarity from human settlements. Because I was also doing the calculations as you were speaking about the numbers. So numbers, you see, that's the funny thing about numbers, it must add up. And if there's a gap, then there could be a very good reason, but if we don't know, we'll suspect that something is wrong. Human settlements?
Thank you again, Chair. Earlier on, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Khomotso Matlobo, recovering from flu, so my voice is challenged. Ke a leboga Mogomotsi Bus for the statistics tse di providileng gompieno, but I will go back to what I said earlier, and I will reiterate what I said earlier. Because of the land availability for the project in Jelpan, where Khosi availed 5 hectares of land initially, we could not allocate that to the numbers that we were anticipating. That's point number 1. Point number 2, there had to be technical studies carried out, considering the fact that those disasters were recurring in Jelpan, and Jelpan would not be treated like any other rural development. That is why some of the studies that are not done in rural areas had to be done in Jelpan. That was point number 2. That had to take place before you could finalize and determine the number of units that will get accommodated in the 5 hectares. Also, considering the fact that you are doing human settlements, you are not just building houses. For that reason, only 103 was accommodated in the 5 hectares of land that was initially given by Kgosi Molete. And based on the studies and the outcome of the studies that were made that I mentioned earlier on. As to the initial allocation of 54 million, I have indicated, and the speaker there, Mr. Bass, has reiterated what I mentioned, that the community did not accept the TRUs. The community wanted permanent structures. So that initial allocation of 54 million, which was meant to build TRUs, had to be forfeited because the community refused and rejected the TRUs. Now we have started a new process of providing them with permanent structures. And in that process of providing them with permanent structures, we had to wait for those studies to be completed so that we can draw up the tender documentation and go through the tender process to appoint a contractor. And I have also mentioned that the contractor has subsequently been appointed, and they are due to start, and their contract is going to end by 31st of March. I hope that covers the misunderstanding or the confusion that may have been around the 54 million TRU and permanent structures. Thank you.
That is the response to you. Now, what we are going to do is, you see, I've listened to a number of figures that are thrown around, and everybody should be aware of this from the provincial government as well. In all the provinces where we go, and we see there's emergency spending, and yes, you are right, we must conform to all the prescripts of the National Treasury. But you see, we work with the Office of the Auditor General. So we will indicate to the Office of the Auditor General, it's not a Northwest issue only. They usually do a sample, and we advise them where to do that sample, so that we are absolutely sure that the money is spent correctly. Secondly, where's the gentleman from agriculture? Oh, there he is. I see you have very expensive goats here in the Northwest. They're almost 7,900 rand each. I'm a small-scale farmer myself, with a little bit of cattle in the Eastern Cape. Maybe the goats in the Eastern Cape is a different breed, but we will look into that matter. Now, what we have heard here this morning is, honorable members, is yes, the plans are there, And there were indications that somebody had to be here today, tomorrow the person will be here, Monday and Tuesday these people will come, is that we are going to give you now an opportunity to implement your plan. But you must share your implementation plan with us. You must send it through to the committee. They're going to ask for it with the time frames involved. But you must now also share that information with the traditional authority. You must sit down with them, share the plans, and also with the community, because they are a key stakeholder, so that they know what is going on. You know, if you don't have information, you start suspecting a lot of things, a lot of corruption happening. And you think, no, but that could have happened and that could have happened. But if you sit and discuss these things, you will realize it's not a problem. We are going to report on all the visits that we've undertaken. Honorable Director, is it by the end of November? No? End of November, we must report. And MEC and DG, we hope by then we will be able to include in the report that since this visit, our second visit here, this is the progress. But we're not going to rely on the information that you send us. We'll send a smaller team back here to actually come and see and to meet with Khoshi, because he's raised also other issues that you can attend to as a provincial government. You know, that building in front is not befitting. It must be attended to immediately, and you must discuss it with him. Right? I don't want to come back and the support staff, Nola, you will take the details of Khoshi as well, so that we can directly communicate with him. And similarly, you must take the details of this representative here from the community, so that we can also directly, you see, it's an open flow of information. You don't need to suspect anyone that somebody is withholding information. So apart from the plan, implementation plan, and if there are delays, it can happen, just communicate and say, there's a delay, this is the reason for the delay. Tell the community. Deal with the issue of the water tankers, and you also can't burn a water tanker and expect water the next day. Doesn't work like that. You can't burn something that's to the common good of everybody. We must get that thing out of our minds, that when we are angry, we burn. It doesn't solve the problem. It makes the problem bigger. But there's a way in which the government must interact with communities on a continuous basis. And I take the response that you have given, Honorable MEC, that you admit there is shortcomings. Now we want to see how is it going to improve, right? Especially with the community and with the traditional leadership that is there. We can't afford the traditional leaders to sit like fools and not knowing what is happening in their own areas. That's under their authority. It's not wrong. It's wrong. It's not the correct approach in how we should deal with our leadership. So we will, the diesel issue and all of that, we'll ask the necessary officers to look into that matter, so that we are sure that disaster relief is disaster relief to the benefit of our people, to the benefit of all our communities that are there. And if we see that progress, then you will see the community will be here again to come and say, no, we acknowledge this has now been done. And that has been done. But if it hasn't been done, they will come back again to raise their opinions and their voices. And what we say is that we expect quality work to be done. It's not because it's for poor people, you can just give them anything and they must be happy with it. No, 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 no. They must get quality. They deserve exactly the same, because it's ultimately the money of the taxpayers that we use to construct, to rebuild, and to provide the services to the different communities that are there. So thank you very much for this engagement. I think now we have a clear understanding on the way forward, how we proceed. And in that final report, we would like to mention positive developments that has taken place, that we ourselves have seen that is taking place. And it will assist the government in terms of their overall strategy to deal with service delivery on a broader scale in the province. I don't want to raise the issue of the road as we come in It's almost as if I was once in a war zone, you know, in a war zone where the planes, they bomb each other. There, Ukraine and those areas. That road looks like that. It's as if there was a war there, with bombs being dropped everywhere. It impacts on the quality of life of people. It impacts on economic growth. And even though it was not caused by the floods, it doesn't send a good impression of the municipality and also of the province. And if there's money that's appropriated for that, use it. Because as you use that money to build the houses, to construct the roads, people will get jobs. But if you don't do it, people will be unemployed. And people will become suspicious as to what government is really doing. So, Honorable MEC, Finance, Social Development, Mayor, and also the councillors that are there, and the support, the DG and the support team, thank you very much. And also thank you very much for the community to come through to us. We are always open to listen to you, but you must be disciplined, like you have been disciplined this morning. Thank you very much. We will now go to the first site. No, but you see, now you put up more hands. I've closed the meeting. You can come to me, and you can come and share with me what you wanted to say, but I'm not going to allow now any more hands from the floor.